And with that, the formal Guard of Honor is wrapping up in China. The heavy lifting diplomacy officially gets underway in Beijing. And ahead of his China visit, we've all seen Putin has said that Russia and China are ready to support each other on a wider range of issues, including national unity and protection of sovereignty. Well, relations between Russia and China have reached an unprecedented level of mutual understanding and trust, and this is what Putin has said in a video address on Tuesday. This is Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has arrived in China on Tuesday evening for a two-day visit centered on talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping as Moscow and Beijing draws closer amid war, sanctions and an interestingly fractured global order. Well, Putin's visit is the second face-to-face meeting as he has held with Xi in less than a year. And it also coincides with the 25th anniversary of the 2001 Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation, the agreement that formalized ties between Russia and China, which is following decades of ideological rivalry and mutual suspicion. Well, right now, I have my colleague Shivan Channa who will get you all the latest. Well, Shivan, how are we looking at this? How are we seeing this panning out?
No, it's interesting, Adya, because this is a absolutely similar setting as what we saw just days earlier when Donald Trump came to the Tiananmen Square right here in Beijing. And this is the Russian President Vladimir Putin receiving that honor in the heart of China. This is in Beijing, that is. And Vladimir Putin arrived at the historic Great Hall of the People. That's where these shots are coming in from. That's the Great Hall of the People in Beijing for the high-stakes state visit. And this is a summit talks with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, the two leaders, they are going to be using this iconic venue for their major strategic alliances. And you can be rest assured that these visuals are going to be resonating across the world and definitely in the Western capitals. Most specifically, it's going to be resonating in Washington. These two leaders are going to be having discussions and closed-door discussions, that is, on geopolitics and deepening trade relations. They have extremely good relations, and that is very easily understandable given the number of visits and interactions they have had in the recent past itself. The Great Hall of the People, let me just quickly tell you about what we are seeing on the screen. This is a visual from Beijing. The Great Hall of the People it's the premier seat of power for the Chinese Communist Party. It is situated on the western edge of Tiananmen Square, and that's essentially located in the exact center of Beijing on East Chang's Avenue in the district. And along with that, it is where China hosts visiting heads of state. And as I was mentioning, it was just days earlier, just about 4 to 5 days earlier, when we saw Donald Trump receiving the same guard of honor and the same reception by the Chinese government. And here we are seeing this with Vladimir Putin just days later. Also, there was a statement that came in from the Kremlin. Putin and Xi, they're set to discuss how to strengthen Russia and China's strategic partnership and exchange views on key international regional issues. So you can be rest assured they will be having discussions on the Iran war as the stalemate continues regarding a deal. And along with that, there will be discussions regarding their own bilateral ties. There have been other statements that have come in from the Kremlin saying their ties have deepened since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. With Putin visiting Beijing every year since, as his country is among the topics, Xi and Putin could discuss the construction of the major Power of Siberia 2. That's the natural gas pipeline from Russia to China through Mongolia. So these are some of the topics that are definitely going to be discussed between the two leaders. It's going to be land alternative to crude imported by sea from West Asia. That's the Power of Siberia 2, a natural gas pipeline from Russia to China through Mongolia. Again, linked to the developments in West Asia that we've seen. And this handshake, nothing new that we're seeing in these visuals. They have excellent relations. But yes, just days earlier seeing the same reception to Donald Trump, days later seeing the same reception to Vladimir Putin at the same location, that's definitely one thing to ponder on. Now, the welcome ceremonies, they typically include a full military guard that we just saw in these visuals. It's a full military guard of honor by the People's Liberation Army. And this is before the two leaders transition into substantial format discussions. These are 1+4 format discussions. These talks span everything from ongoing war in Ukraine to nuclear energy and major economic pacts. But one can be well assured there will be discussions regarding whatever China and US has been able to achieve in the recently concluded visit of Donald Trump. That visit happened after almost 9 years. And here we have Donald Trump. Here we have Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin meeting, and they've met some 40 times already, and every year they've met since 2022, twice in the previous year itself. And the visit of Vladimir Putin was announced on X by the Chinese official accounts, and this was just hours after Donald Trump departed from Beijing. That was just days ago, about 4 days back. Here we are.
And right, Shivan, and we've all seen how these bilateral talks are very important for both of the countries. You know, the energy relationship between the two countries is expected to be an important topic of discussion. And, you know, China has brought more Russian oil and gas since the start of the conflict with Ukraine in 2022, with all the the war that has happened, with the invasion, and with Moscow and Beijing declaring a no-limits partnership just days before the war began. And, you know, I'll just go through two of the most important things that might be under discussion, which is like gas and oil. Russia's energy giant Gazprom supplies natural gas to China through a 3,000 kilometers pipeline called Power of Siberia under a 30-year and $400 billion deal was launched in the year 2019. And during Putin's visit to China in September, the countries agreed to increase annual volumes on the route. Well, the countries are also still in talks about a new Power of Siberia 2 pipeline, which you've just mentioned, from Russia to China via Mongolia. And the other is China, which is Moscow's top client for oil shipments via the same pipelines. Exports have been high amid Western sanctions on Russia over the war in Ukraine. But now we'll just have to wait and see what exactly we are getting through these bilateral talks in the next, the talks and everything. But thank you so much, Shivan, for getting us all the details. And we just need to see and look through it.
Yeah, just quickly, Russia has made it very clear that this visit to China has nothing to do with the visit of Donald Trump to China. They've made a clear distinction there, and that these two powers coming together are for their bilateral good. It's not for putting any other country down. So they are giving that kind of a messaging. We'll need to wait and watch now what comes out, or what kind of headlines are going to be seen after their meeting and after the statements come out from both the sides. But for now, we've seen this grand reception. And that's all. We will be tracking all these developments as we see them on the screens and bring you minute-by-minute updates. I'm Shivan Channa.